So the fifth topic that we would be covering is how to retrieve emails from Uipath, and the sixth one would be how to send emails using Uipath. So in this, I would be covering all the properties and activities that are available in UiPath for direct integration with the email. And this will actually help you out to understand how the enterprise version or the companies actually use email automation in executing this. Now, let's go ahead with that. Yeah. So what is email automation? So email automation is basically, everyone might be aware, or if not, let me try to emphasize that. So email automation is something that emails that we get to the company, those emails are being read by someone, means if you're not talking about automation at this point, okay. So those emails are being read by someone who actually understands what is going on. After that, he actually converts that language and then replies back to those things, or maybe segregate that to the particular individual for further completion of that particular process. Now, if we do an automation over here, what will happen is the customers would be sending out those emails to the company inbox, and the bot or the email bot would be actually reading those emails and then segregating them as per the rules that have been set by our system. So email automation is basically segregating, reading all those informations, and then processing them. And obviously means in the end, if it's required, we can actually reply back to the customer also, stating that this is your resolution or this is what you were asking for. If everything goes good, then that's okay. If the customer is not actually agreeing with the reply that the bot has replied, then he can again come back to the bot and again ask more questions. Okay, so this is all about email automation. Moving ahead, so email automations using UiPath. Now we have in UiPath a package, an activity package, which is known as uipath.mail.activities. Now this particular activity is actually having all the integrations available inside the UiPath for mail activities. Now, the UiPath mail activities has means covering IMAP, POP3, and SMTP for all the communications that has been related to the emails that has been used till date. Okay, so UiPath also features activities that are specialized in working with Outlook and Exchange. So most of the companies that we are having are actually using Outlook and Exchange only, and the easiest way to actually integrate any of these activities or any automation in email would be using either by an Outlook or by using an Exchange activity. Now, to actually better understand the usability of the mail activities in the package, we can actually go ahead and see how it can actually be used for getting integration with further systems. Now, the activities that are available in UiPath for email automation are so many available. So as you can see, we have save email message, save attachment, send SMTP mail messages, get POP mail messages, and lots of more in that. So we have an integration, and all these are actually directly be integrated, and it can be used directly in UiPath Studio activities. So all you need to do is just drag and drop these particular activities, and you can actually make an email automation right away from the very scratch. Now, let's talk about the common examples in UiPath or the enterprise people that are using in this particular scenario. So what happens, as I've already told you, we are receiving a lot of emails. Now we are talking about, let's talk about a customer care service center. Okay. Now what will happen is they would be getting tons of emails. Now the bot would be actually reading those emails, then filtering, then it will filter out the emails that are required on the basis of the rules that is coming. So let's assume the bot is now looking only for a complaint in the subject line, maybe a reference or a subject line in that, maybe a reference for a ticket number. So all those things are being segregated as per the rules that are being defined by the customer care inside the system for automation to work on. Now, what we'll do is once we have read all those emails, what we would be looping it across all the mails and then segregating it as per our convenience. Now, it can be based on the basis of attachment received. It can be either on the basis of the subject line. It can be on the basis of the body that has been received. It can mean numerous of examples or possibilities can be achievable using an email automation. And from that, we can actually create multiple complex logics or maybe a simple logic for executing all these emails altogether. Once the particular email has been found, what we'll be doing is we will be saving those attachments from that email, and then we would be forwarding it to further automations. Now, most of the companies, when all this process has been completed, now the process of automation has been completed also. What will happen is we would be forwarding the status to the business users. saying that 10 or 1 million mails were being received, 500 got successful, 500 got failed, maybe 10 got failed out because of business exception, 490 got failed out because of application exception. So it can be anything altogether. Okay, the numbers and every codes are everything. I'm just creating those. So please don't go inside the numbering of this particular thing. So we actually, at the end of the state email chain, what will happen is we would be triggering an email back to the business user stating about all this particular scenarios. Now we can actually also track the informations. We can also track, respond on those emails as well. We can also create a logic on that basis also. This all can be created using all the email automations possible in this particular scenarios. Now, let's go to the demo. In this, what we'll have means I'm just stopping sharing my screen for a minute just to connect to the particular RDP session, and then we'll start with the demo. So in the meanwhile, if you have any queries, please you can actually type in the question bar, and we can try to reply those out. In the meanwhile, I'm just opening my RDP session so I can actually show you the properties available, and we can go ahead with the other stuffs as well. I hope my screen is visible back to you guys. Yeah, okay, that's great. Okay, so how we actually understand what is a package. So I actually covered this out earlier in the scenario. What we need to do is just go to navigate to manage packages inside the studio, and then we can directly go inside the Uipath mail activities. So this is the activity that actually helps you out in this all execution of the process. Now this can be used if I remove this out. You can actually remove the Outlook integration with the studio, but this is pre-defined and pre-installed in most of the Outlook processes or the studio process that you're creating. So in this particular activities, what is happening? These are the list of possible outcomes that you can see. I've made it inside Outlook. So you would be seeing only Outlook over here. If I simply convert this into a mail, you'd be seeing n number of possibilities available in this. So it can be an Exchange integration. It can be an IB Notes integration. IMAP integration we can do with Outlook. As you can see, most of the possibilities are available over here. We can do a pop message, and then we can do an SMTP send messages. And similarly, we can create HTML content. We can save the attachments. We can save the mail message. As per our convenience, we can all do all that. And as you can see, we have a direct integration with the Gmail and Outlook 365 as well. So this is the whole integration of the whole thing. Now, I'll just go with a small demo of this whole thing. What is happening is I have 3 emails, as you can see. There means I'm not opening my mailbox, so please excuse me on that. So it's test 1, test 2, and then we have test 3 available over here. And as you can see, most of the emails are on the same time. So I just created a quick logic over here. So what I'm doing in this particular scenario is I'm just commenting out the stuffs over here. Okay. What I did is I simply did an get Outlook message. Okay. So once the get Outlook message has been done, so what we'll talk about now is the properties available inside the get Outlook. So get Outlook is basically to retrieve all the mails from the Outlook box, and we can get those out in the by setting these properties over here. Now, if I do an inbox, the mail would be the process of our system would be reading only the inbox mail. Now it would be reading 14,487 mails over here. But right now, what I'm doing is rather than going inside that particular mailbox, I'm actually now forcing it to only read the new mailbox. So now all I need to do is just do a properties. Then I did new means I'm just copying this out text over here. By this, I'm avoiding any spacings or anything available on my side. And I'm just doing a / and then I do a control V over here. So new mails. Now new mails would be read out over here. Now in this particular thing, we have a particular timeout session also. After how much time the process will get stopped out. Basically by default, it's 30 seconds. But if your server or your system is slow, you can increase it to 50 to 60, maybe 1 minute, or you can increase to 100 minutes. So basically timeout MS is only basically just to identify if anything is erroring out, just to stop that particular time. So your system or your UiPath bot would be actually waiting for this whole process to get completed in that particular timeout session only. If you have not hard coded any value out over here, what you can do is this bot would be waiting for 30 seconds. If it's unable to retrieve any mail, you would be getting a system timeout mail out means error message over here. But if you increase that out, what will happen is the bot will now wait for that particular period of time. Okay. Now, display name, you might all be aware of by so many sessions that we have covered. We can actually change this to anything. So I'm just doing Outlook read. So if we do that, you can see the naming convention of this particular activity has got changed out. Okay. So again, I'm going ahead. The account by default, if we keep it as blank, it will automatically pick the basic, because it has only one. It has two, but the default one is billing automation. So it will only pick the billing automation over here on an automatic basis. Okay. Now, if the mail folder is inbox, the bot would be navigating and triggering and checking out only the inbox folder. But if it's not, and I'm hard coded into new mails by putting a / new mails, the bot would be only looking into the new mails folder. If I do a private check over here, the log message of this particular activity won't be saved by the bot or the UiPath system. So usually most of the people are not enabling this. It's means it depends on the security perspective of the client. If they want this to be in private, we can actually do that right away. Now filters. Now this, let's skip this right now. I'll go ahead on this afterwards. Now mark as read. Now what is mark as read? So if I check mark this, what will happen is if the bot has read these 3 emails, the bot will be marking these as unread. Means it would be actually marking this as read, stuffs like that. Okay. And once that been done, we can actually avoid these mails getting read by the bot by simply enabling this out. Now the second option after that is only unread messages. So by enabling this, what will happen is if I have read the second mail, let's assume the second mail has only been read by me, the bot won't be reading the second email. So I would be going ahead and showing you this in the debug mode, so you can actually relate it out as per your convenience and understand that out. Now, order by date. Order by date is actually what we need to do. Means, do I need to read the newest first or the oldest first? So if I click oldest first, what will happen is the bot would be reading this email first, and then this, then this. Exactly. But the newest first would be actually on the basis of what is coming in new. Okay. The top statement over here means the bot would be reading only the top 30 emails. And now I can increase it to by putting it -1. By doing a -1, it would be reading all the mails. But if I do 100 over here, top 100 emails are being read. But if the mailbox doesn't consist 100 emails, so it will obviously not read all means 100 altogether over here. In this particular scenario for ours, it would be only reading 3 emails. Okay. And after that, the mail, the output that has been received, what we can do is we can simply do an Control K, and I'm storing this inside the mail received. Okay. So by doing this, this particular object has been created. And now after this variable has been created, what we'll do is we'll check the variable type. So the variable type that has been created is a list of mail messages. So this object, the thing that has been achieved, this is what we are getting, and this is what is being used ahead. Okay. So I'm just doing a right line over here, and mail messages are being read. Mail received ones means I'm just checking that out, and I'm checking how many counts were there. Okay. And to string just to print the output. And I'm just disabling the item below. Don't means the bot doesn't means read the below stuffs again. So now, as you can see over here, the properties for this Outlook read is basically 100 mails have been read. I'm not reading only the unread message. I'm not marking it as read. Okay. So as you can see, all the 3 mails needs to be read out. And if I'm marking it as read, then the unread messages would be read again. Okay. So I'm just doing a debug over here. So as you can see, all the mails have been read. Okay. And the object that we have obtained is 3. 3 emails were read, and this is how the object has been received. I'm sorry for the lots of emails coming in. Yep. Okay. So this is how the bot is actually now doing these stuff. Okay. Now, how can we actually see or loop those emails? Now, before I do that, let me do one thing. Now I'm checking only the unread mails. I'm just going through all the properties for you so that you are aware of those things. I'm keeping it as unread only. Now only one email must be read. As you can see, that has been read out and the output would be only one. So this is how the property helps you out. Now, if I do a mark, I'm removing this as mark as read and I'm removing my unread also. Okay. Now I'm marking only the third one and this one as unread. Okay. Now if I run the bot again, the process will get over, but you will not see the third one and the first one marked as read. So the output is 3, but as you can see, we are not actually marking them as read. So by doing these type of properties, what you can do is just rotate around these stuffs and make sure that you're actually playing it around as per your convenience. Okay. So this is how the Outlook read mails are, or the get Outlook property is being read out or being used in this particular scenario. Okay. Now, the two topics that we have missed out, one is filter and filter message by message IDs. Filter by message ID is basically returns only those mail messages with the specific message ID. If set, then filter parameter is ignored. So if you write anything over here and you're marking this as some text or something or message IDs, then only these particular things would be read out. Usually we don't do it by filter by message IDs, but if it's being used, we can actually get that used. Okay. Now in filter, what we need to do is we need to mark a Microsoft use provided string over here. By doing that, what we can do is, now if I only want to read only test one, I can mark that subject directly over here. By doing this, what will happen is the bot will only read out of all the mails, only that particular email only. Okay. So by doing this all together, what helps or what means simplifies our processes, the mails or the subject which has not been required is not been read altogether by the bot itself. Okay. Now I'm doing a for each over here, moving ahead with the topics on this. So for each on all the mails received. So mail received, this is the output for this one. So I'm looping it across the whole thing. Now, after doing this, this is on object. Okay. So now I need to convert the object type. So I need to go browse to the browse for types. Okay. Usually in the latest version of the Uipath community, what is happening is this particular object get type argument gets automatically converted into the mail system.net.mail.messages. But if it's not getting converted, all you need to do is simply write mail message. So in this particular thing, what you need to do is system.net.mail.mail messages. This one I'm picking and I'm simply publishing, converting this particular for each. So now I'm telling the for each that the mail received is a mail and I need to loop it across on the basis of the item. Now, if I do a write line over here, now the system would be actually helping me out in understanding items dot. Now it would be giving me all the possible options available over here. Now, as you can see, I can get the subject line, I can get the body and everything, who it needs to be replied to, what is the sender names, everything would be available over here. Now, I'm just doing a subject over here. So I'm just getting the subject line. And after that, I'm just also getting the checking if there is any body, what is the text inside that. Okay. So by doing this also, now there's a possibility of also getting the header date, that is when the mail was being received. Okay, there is an option of doing that. So I'm just passing this out. This has not been coming in directly, so I need to be making sure that this needs to be passed in this particular format only. Okay. I might be doing something wrong on this. Yeah. Okay, so it's headers, item.headers. Headers is basically something which we need to pass on. Now, if you want to read more about this, I have an article over here. I'll be passing it inside the chat. Just 1 second, please. I'll be passing it to you after the end of the session. So please don't be panic around. And what we'll be doing is we will be passing you all the header properties in this particular thing. So you can actually relate what is coming in. Okay. So I'm just doing a debug over here. And as you can see, all the mails would be coming in. So as I told you, the latest one would be picked up first. So test 3. So the first mail that was been coming in is test 3, and the body is also test 3. So this is how the text output comes in. Now, when was this mail being received? It was received on 7th of June at 11:27:51 around time. Okay. So as you can see, this particular mail was being received on 11:28. The Outlook has already segregated it inside this particular format. But if we expand this particular, I'm not sure how to expand the date format over here, but this particular time mail was being received on at 11:27 a.m. at 51 seconds. Okay. And similarly, as you can see, the same thing is available for test 2, that is a mail 2 that is coming in the subject. The body is also test 2, and the mail time that has been received in this, and so on, all this stuff as well. Okay. The bot actually segregates this all together. Now, you can actually also play it around. Now, if I need to pick who was the sender's name, okay, means just want to find out what was the sender's name. Okay, I just forwarded to myself, so you would be finding the mail that has been coming in. So I can write a from and dot toString. I'm not sure whether this will work. Maybe a condition would be required. So please excuse me if it's not working directly. Yep, it is working. So as you can see, this particular email was being sent out by this particular user only. So I can go over here and see this mail was being sent out by this particular team only. Okay. So this is the whole, it means, convention that we do in the automation of our Outlook. And basically what by doing this particular, the reason why I actually told you these all conditions is basically just to identify how the mail was being received. Now I can segregate it using if loop. By putting an if over here, what I need to do is simply put the subject line, and I'm just marking it as test2 only. Okay. I'm just checking whether I added a space over here. No, there is no space being added out over here. So I'm just copying this out, and I'm just copying this. Okay. Now, rather than doing an equal to, I can do equals over here directly and simply pass it out over here. So this will automatically be clicked out over here. Now I want to only pick the data from this particular thing only, that is test2. So I'm putting each and every activity over here. Other all emails would be discarded from my side. Okay. Now I'm just doing a run command over here. Now, as you can see, because only one single email has been read, now this particular means we have 3 emails that were being read by the bot. Now we can actually get all those inside this particular scenarios. Okay. Now this is only about read Outlook. Okay, means we are actually reading the mails over here. We're not sending out, or we're not doing anything in this scenario. Now let's go ahead with send email outlooks. Okay. In read outlooks, we have multiple more scenarios also available over here. So I'll just go through them as well before we go to the send Outlook one. So we use this one. We can delete the Outlook mails also by using the same thing. We can mark Outlook as read and unmark read also. We can move the Outlook mails from one folder to another as well. So if I want to move the new mails from new mail to processed, so let's do this particular thing. Okay, inside the for each, we'll be moving this particular mail that we have received to a different folder. So if I paste it over here, I'm just writing the Outlook mail. Okay, so it's just item, because the mail item has been directly been picked out. Now, if I need to pass it to a different folder, all I need to do is I'm just copying text. Okay, so please don't get confused. So after I've done this, I'm going back to the folder over here, and I'm just doing the right click over here. It's a basic possibility that we put something wrong over here. So I simply copied them out just to avoid any text error. And if I do this, what will happen is that this particular email, the one with the test2, this would be automatically moved inside the process folder. That is the process folder inside the Outlook. So I'm just running the bot over here. So as you can see, simple process, what we do is we simply move this out mail inside the process folder. So it's a direct plug and play. All you need to do is make sure what mails needs to be moved in which folder, and we can actually segregate it using the automation directly. Now, the Outlook has a different trigger mechanism also. So if a particular email has been received, we can actually trigger the bot also. Right now, we're not covering the orchestrator, so I'm just skipping this out. But if you want to trigger this out, you can actually just put just put a process over here. The process will give an error because it needs an trigger activity. So a trigger scope needs to be provided out over here. Now, if I need to pause, check for the emails over here, I can simply put new mails. And from which sender this needs to be provided. This is not compulsory, but we can also provide multiple options over here also to which mails and everything. And we can also create a logic over here on this basis. Okay, so I'm just disregarding this. Now, the next part is reply to Outlook email. Now, if I want to reply also, there's a possibility that we need to reply as well. Okay, so before I do that, I'm just moving the second email to my new mails. Okay, so if I need to reply back, so let's assume I'm just putting it as abc.@gmail.com. Okay, I am not sending this out, so I'm just putting it as no, it won't work in this. Okay, so I would be simply putting this out inside the mail, so it would be item over here rather than, because the mail needs reply to means automatically sending it back to the sender. So I'm just doing a reply all, and reply to has been picked out. The body needs to be sent out as hi. Okay, so mail would be received inside our folder. Okay, now if I do a mark over here as reply all, and there are multiple senders. Now this person has actually sent out with 5 more people inside the CC. So if I do a reply, it would be sending out only to a single mail, that is a billing automation. Or if I'm doing reply all those 5 CC people would be also receiving that email as well. Okay, so this is how the process has been done. Now, if I trigger this part, what will happen is the mail would be sent back to the outbox. Okay, so I'm just running the scenario. It will automatically get moved to a different folder as well. And then again, a reply would be triggered as well. Now, as you can see, reply to this, the operation failed. The object cannot be found. Okay, the reason why this particular got failed out, the reason why for this is I moved the mail just before I was sending an out message also. So what happened is this mail was not being found out inside the new mail box. It was being read, it was being found, but it didn't find it out. So simply what I do is I just disable this particular thing. I'm disabling the move Outlook property, and I'm sending this out. So as you can see, it's something once went successfully. Now I'm just going to send mails. And you can see this particular mail was being sent out as a hi. Okay, and obviously a mail we would be receiving it inside the inbox as well. Okay, now moving ahead to the next thing, if I already told you about the unbox and uncheck and check of the reply all. And if you want to put in collection of the attachment, we can also attach this particular thing. So if you're processing all the things, you need to attach the reply of the results. We can also do this in this particular scenario. So this is how the whole thing actually works around. So if you have multiple inputs, you can simply put a folder over here and pass the folder path over here as well. So all the files inside that particular thing can be sent out. Now by attachments, one by one, you need to add all those attachments over here. But if you want to add the collections, simply pass the collections list of the files and it will automatically get attached with this particular scenario. Okay. Now the next part over here is send Outlook email. Okay. And we can also save the Outlook message into a particular folder. So which mail needs to be saved? I'm just passing the item. Now, if in which folder I need to save this out, this needs to be present. So I'm just saving this inside the desktop. Okay. So once I do an OK over here, this path would be available. And now what will happen is this particular format would be saved in .msg folder. Now I can convert this particular inside the text format, in HTML format, or maybe in Outlook message format. So I'm just converting into Outlook message also. And if it's already present, I can also replace it with something new. So now I'm just running this particular process. You will be seeing a message, a mail message being saved out of it. Okay. So the test2 message got compared over here, and this is how the output came. Okay. Now, few people would be kind of confused. We have already sent 2 mails, right? So there would be 2 subject lines with sent, right? As you can see in this particular one, I'm just going to the top. Yeah. So this one has a reply over here, right? But in this particular scenario, if you remember, I had this inside the I'm just removing the pop-ups. Okay, do excuse me on that. So right now what happened is, as you remember, the mail message that we have read over here, it was being read inside this particular folder. The bot didn't look inside the inbox folder. It looked into this particular folder only. So if anything, it is not present out over here. Now, if I move this whole thing inside the process folder, what will happen is there won't be any response. Means we won't be getting any response over here. We would be getting a mail count of 2, but nothing would be saved out over here. So no execution, no mail, nothing was being triggered in this particular scenario because this format, this particular condition didn't get satisfied at all. So what the process or what the bot did is right now is actually looped across all this condition and simply stopped without any response being triggered inside the output tab. Okay. Now we'll go ahead with the next thing. So send Outlook mail. Okay. Just having a sip of water. Do excuse me for a minute. So Manoj or Rohit, is there any questions that has been come in for review that needs to be picked up?
Shubham, I'm replying to that.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot for the assistance. Okay, so send Outlook email message. Now this is something which is being used in the automations on a very regular basis. Now the input source can be different, means the input for the mails that are coming in, maybe the company is actually having a shared folder. Maybe they are actually automating something which is not dependent on Outlook at all. The send Outlook mail message, as I've told you earlier, it helps in getting the status or passing the status from the machine back to the user or back to the business user. It can be back to a manager as well. So what is happening in the automation? Everything can be summarized inside the send Outlook mail. So most of the companies, what they do is inside the RE framework, inside the end state. Now, please don't get confused with the RE framework stuff. If it has not been covered, obviously someone would be covering this out in the future. So in RE framework, if you are not aware, there are 5 states altogether. One is initialization tab, get process transition state. And after that, we have process transition state. And the last one is end state. Oh, I'm sorry, there are only 4. Please excuse me on that. Okay. Now, in the end state, what happens is we are triggering the mail back to the user stating as the process was successful. Now, there's a possibility that I process 1000 records. I can pass all that information obtained inside the automation, inside the email automation, and then summarize it back to the user. So by doing this, what will happen is the user actually understands, oh, this is how the process, or this is what the automation did actually. Now, no one needs to go inside the orchestrated tab to see what happened with the process. We can send out the exception mails, we can send out the exception screenshots, we can do everything inside this particular thing. So in my experience of 10 years and 4 years in automation, I have noticed that every client is actually requesting for something to be sent out back by the bot to the user, back to the business team, basically, just to identify whether the process was successful or failure. If it was a failure, someone needs to check it out, right? So this is how this process is being executed. Now, in send Outlook mail messages, I'm just going through the properties again. So please excuse me on that if you're already aware of most of the stuffs. I won't be covering the stuffs that were being covered earlier on. Attachments is basically attaching anything inside this mail. Now, attached selection is if you have a list of all the attachments, you can simply put the list over here and it would be automatically get attached. Display name, by simply changing display name, this particular rename field can be renamed. Timeout MS is basically if the mail actually was something big, the output means Uipath was not able to identify whether it was being success or failure, then it will automatically be passed as a failure system timeout. Now we can increase that by simply putting the MS milliseconds over here. In the latest version that Uipath has implemented, they are now taking everything in seconds format, not in milliseconds. So please don't confuse. If you're getting any confusion on any of the points, simply what you need to do is just hover your mouse over this field and you'll see the exact meaning of this particular field. So over here, as you can see, it specifies the amount of time in milliseconds. So everything that has been passed over here needs to be passed in milliseconds only. So if I want to pass 60 seconds, So all I need to do is just write 60,333. So this is 60 seconds because this is milliseconds. Okay. And if I put it as blank, it is not a mandatory field. So this would be automatically be used as 30 seconds. Okay. Now in email, what is the body that I need to pass out? So now let's pass something new. Okay. New mail. Okay. So I can put it anyway. I can use a variable for passing this out. Anything can be used out over here. It's not a mandatory thing that we need to pass a hard coded value. We can also use some string over here. Okay. Now, if you want means for something as a unique, what I'm doing is I'm passing the mails format over here. So rather than writing a mail body, I am now passing the value over here. Okay. So I can write it as mails received. Okay. And I can put a colon and everything. This can be means you would be getting a response as mail received and the mail count with a colon over here. Now if I put a space over here, a space would be added out. It's quite normal. Okay. Now this is the status. Okay. Now, mail message. If I'm forwarding this mail, do I need to actually forward this out? If I'm forwarding this mail to something different, so the mail that has been received, I need to means there's a possibility that I don't need to do any major change. I simply need to forward this mail. So all I need to do is I pass some item over here and it will get accepted. But it's an error because I cannot add the body or subject over here. It doesn't work like that. Okay. Now, in the count, if it's basic, then you don't need to put anything. But if I'm using on a basis of something different, we can pass those values out over here. Send off behalf of name. So in this, you need to actually, if you want to implement this out, now there is a possibility. So see, as an example over here, billing automation is having the full name as billing automation @ okay. But now if I want to convert this inside accounts section, all I need to do is send on the behalf of name. So I can simply put it as account section. This won't work over here because it's not been integrated by the IT team of this particular company. Okay, so don't mark it as that way. Now, after that, the same property for private is available over here. Now, if you want to mark it as high importance, we can mark it as high, low, or maybe normal, and it will work like that. Okay, we are keeping it as normal right now. Now, is the body HTML? What we can do in this particular scenario is we can actually pass this HTML body over here, because what we need to do is we need to see the mail received and I need to put an enter over here. Right now, that's not possible. So if I need to do that, I need to put an enter over here and it will not give a proper clear. So what I need to do in this particular scenario would be passing a /n, then passing something values like this, and then passing like this. And then this will work in some scenario based. Okay. This is how it will work. But most of the time it doesn't work like this. So what we'll do is what we can do is simply mark this or check mark this particular property. And once we check mark this property, what will happen is I can use the HTML tags now. Okay. Now we can use like br/ like this. Now, if I do this, the mails would be sent out in mail received : then an enter, then the count of this mail that I've used. Okay. By doing this, we can actually get this obtained. Okay. Now, after this particular property, we can put the mails inside the draft section. I'm just checking this out. So I don't want to send this mail. Reply to, we are not adding anything over here because we're not replying it over any email. Now, sensitivity, we can actually use it as normal, personal, private, and confidential. There's no possibility of adding anything new over here. Now, I need to send this out to, now it can be anything, right? So I'm just putting it out over here as ab@gmail.com. Okay. Now, as you can see, because the to field is the mandatory thing over here. So once I've added that, the error message which was coming up earlier on got eliminated automatically. Okay. So right now what I'm doing is I don't want to send it on any one spaces or any condition. I'm just putting it outside the whole process. I'm just minimizing the property tab. So if you are confused that you're not able to find the properties, you can see on the right pan, there's a property tab. Okay. You can mark it, and by doing this as means by simply putting the pin over here, you can actually mark it as always visible, or you can also put it as auto hide. I added the auto hide for both of these activities. I don't care what is happening inside this particular thing, but I'm keeping that as stubs. So I'm just doing a debug over here. Okay. the mails would be read. If the mail has been found, then this particular activity would be triggered. If everything has been passed out, then the send mail would be saved inside a draft. So earlier it was 0. Now, as you can see, this has been coming in. The mail address would ab@gmail.com, and inside the status subject, we are getting the status, and the mail received was like this. Now, what I'll do in this particular scenario is I'll be unchecking the is HTML body. Okay. Now, if I do like this, again mail would be triggered, and you would be seeing as another email that came in, but it came as br/. So an auto enter was not enabled over here. Now, if you want to use all this stuff, what you need to do is, I'm just doing a small Google over here. Now, HTML to text, or you can do an inverse way also, text to HTML. Okay. So directly we have many websites which helps you out in getting this done. So let's assume I am just doing hello, welcome. Okay, so what I'm doing is I had this whole text over here. I am just saving this for my reference, and I'm converting the text to HTML. So this whole text. Now, if I pass this out, just copy this out over here, and I'm going back to the code. Inside the body, I'm just pasting this out. And I need to pass this inside. Because it only accepts string. So I'm just passing it in this spaces. Now, if you want to remove all the spaces and everything, that is doable, but let's keep it as this. Okay. So I'm just doing a send email. So I triggered the process again. And as you can see, we got this whole thing in this format. As I have not enabled its HTML property, so it didn't send it in HTML basis. Now, if I enable this out, the mail would be coming in something better basis. So this is how the statement is being. Now, I didn't actually add an enter over here. The bot did, means probably something went wrong over here. So thanks bot, it didn't actually pick it out over here. So simply what I need to do is I can simply add a p/ over here. So always test. Okay. So I'm just copying this text. And inside the editor mode. Let's do it out of here. Now, I just told you about single site. Now there are multiple websites where you can actually use it. So simply use one of the websites that you find most usable for your site, and you can actually implement any of these data as per that. Okay. So simple, actually, I'm just putting this out over here, put an output over here. Now it actually provides you a lot of clumsy data. Now you can actually simplify this as per your convenience. If you're good with HTML tags, you can simply add those stuffs. If you want to add some URL additions, you can also do that. Everything is doable inside this particular websites. So either use the website or you can actually directly implement that out on your own. So as you can see, the websites and the enter came in. /p is basically on the basis of paragraph. That's why the spacing and everything is happening. And if you want to remove the paragraph, you can simply put /br as well. Okay. So is there any other activity that is pending out over here? I'll just try to cover that out as soon as possible. Okay, so there is an email attachment also available over here. So what I'll do is I'll attach an email by forcing this out. Okay, and add something over here. Just doing okay. Just tagging this mail back attachment. Okay, so I am copy as path. So what I did is I actually pressed Control and then Shift And once both of these stuffs have been clicked on, I can actually copy it as path. Okay. So once that is done, all I need to do is go in this attachment string and I'll simply attach it out. The path has been passed out. Now, if I'm sending this mail, an attachment would be coming in inside the mailbox as well. So as you can see, the attachment can be received over here. Now, if you want to read this mail again and then save it again, so I'm just going through the properties. I actually don't have an example for this. So if I want to save only the email attachment, second, yeah. So I'll just put it out over here. Go through all the activities. So the email, which email has been coming in, so it would be an item because it's in loop over here. Now, if what I need to pass it, does it actually contains an Excel file or does it contain in .pdf? So in our case, it's in .msg. So I'll just pass it out over here. Which folder this needs to be saved out. Now I can specify the folder where this particular attachment needs to come. So this is all the properties that is available in this particular scenario. Now, this particular scenario, what will happen is it can have a list of attachments available inside that mail. So an email can consist, let's assume 5 to 10 attachments over there. Now, if I don't want to save all of them, I can actually create a looping over here. The output would be creating a message string, and then again I can do a save property. So one by one, all these properties can be saved out, and then we can actually get it looped across. Okay. So this is all about your email automation. This is all the properties that we use. If you have any queries, we can go ahead with that. Manoj, if there is anything that you want me to cover more, I can go through that as per the as per the chats available to us.
I guess, Shubham, can you show something like filter activity, how we can basically filter the emails based on that filter property?
Yes, sure. So filter activity is basically, I don't know the exact term for that. So what we'll do is filter on the basis of subject. Okay. And all I need to do is write in the Uipath tag over here, get Outlook filter by subject. I'm just picking those up. And there is a KB article from the Uipath as well over here. So you can use that as well. Just 1 second, I'm unable to find anything. So in the meanwhile, while the website is actually opening, we'll go over here. So this is the property that is coming in. So over here, what we are doing is we are actually saving it on the mail basis, and the filter activity is getting the activities on the basis of keyword. No, this is a simple activity, not a get Outlook one. So I'm just going to the KB article of the Uipath forum. So I'll recommend everyone that you can also go over here and just look into the examples which is available over here. Okay. So over here, what is the happening is we are having an SQL code over here, which will actually copy that text and simply append that out over here. So in the filter activity, what I can do over here is I actually go over here inside the Outlook read, go to the properties. So your wildcard over here. So now what I can do is I'll simply write test. Okay. So because it's a like, it's not case sensitive. And if I want to read only on new emails, I'm just picking those things. Okay. So test, if I'm writing only test, not mentioning this out. Let's make it only unique to one. So I'm putting test one. So in this scenario, what will happen is if everything works, 1 second. There's an error inside the code that we have created. Just remove that particular thing. So as you can see, only a single mail was being read. Means rather than picking all the 2 emails over here, only one single email was being picked. So this is only on the basis of the subject that we have. Now, if you want to do it on the basis of dates, there is again, all you need to do is go to the Uipath Academy, or not on the Academy, but on the forum, and simply search for Uipath date filter, get Outlook. So filter by date. A direct code is being, you can actually get this out. I can create an if logic over there for segregating on the basis of date. The date has been received, whether it was been received on that particular date or not. If I want to get only that particular email, or maybe after a time frame of 12 p.m., then I can do it on this basis. So all I need to do is by received date, this is how the logic can be created. Now, this particular code is basically what it's doing is it's picking all the mails on 23rd of Feb 2018, and it's finding the mails which were being received before 25th of Feb 2018. So all the mails over here would be received from 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Means the Outlook property would be doing this only thing over here. So there are lots of variations available. You can play a lot over here. Also, you can play with the subject and also with the date over here as well. If I simply want to do it over here, I can simply do an and over here and simply add the logic over here. Now, logic can be on the basis of HTTPS request. Now, this is only basis of the subject. Now I can subject change it on the basis of date as well. I would be sharing the KB article to Rohit, and he can actually put it inside the final output that you can, from where you would getting all this data from the video recording and also the PPTs. So it would be helpful for you to actually use that out for getting the stuff. Now, why do we use the filter activity? I'll tell you a reason for that. Basically, there may be a possibility that thousands of email has been received in our Outlook. Okay. Now we only want to find the mails which are having with subject. Okay. Now, instead of going through each and every emails and doing a simple subject line looping over here, what I can do is I can simply read only get and read only that particular email. Other than that, nothing would be read from our end. That's why, just to reduce the time frame of execution, the filter activity is being used out. Now, if you don't want to use it or you're not comfortable with that, Uipath has also provided you with a direct if condition. You can loop it on that basis as I have earlier done with test 2 only. Now, if that is not working with you, there are more possibilities. You can actually loop it on the basis of that. You can also play it around. What I usually means, as a good practice, what I do is once the email has been read, I move it to process folder. If it's not been read, failed with some particular exception, I move it to the failed folder. So some SME can come in and take a look. What was bot able to do, and what was not able to do. It doesn't only help the SME or the business user; it also user developer. So why this particular email got failed? Maybe it had something as an exception. Maybe it didn't had the test in the subject line. So it can be in number of reasons. But if you want to use this particular scenario, what as an experience of I do is I actually read any emails. If it's satisfying all the rules, I move it into the process folder. If it's not satisfying with any of the rules, I'm just moving it to the failed folder. This is how the execution of the process helps. Now, in future, there may be more 10 emails coming in. But by doing that, by creating this process folder and failed folder, what helps you is just to avoid the mails which were already been read out. You don't want to reread those and then again process all those emails. So by doing that, you can also minimize your risk, but you can also minimize the execution time as well by clearing the stacks over there. By minimizing the risk, you don't need to actually go across all the 1000 emails just to identify the mail that got failed out. You can simply go to the failed tab and simply read it on that basis. I hope this helps. Anything other than that, Manoj?
No, Shubham.
Okay. Now, what we do means, as an assignment for everyone, what we can do is, I know it's only 7, so I'm just covering it very quickly. So we would be having 15 minutes only for Q&A. If anyone is having, we can also unmute yourself. I think that would be okay with everyone. Now, as an assignment, what you need to do, that means probably what can be done over here is, we can actually create an auto bot. A bot, what it will do is, you can simply navigate to this particular website. I'm just navigating over there. So go to this particular website. I'm picking one of the codes over here. Okay, there are 100 famous codes of all time. So I'm just going to the number 1 or maybe number 2, or whatever I need to pick. Scrap this data and then mail it back to you. So basically open the website. You would be navigating to this particular website. Then scrap the code on the basis of the number that you have generated. So this particular string, what it does is it actually provides you a particular date. or number which is between 1 to 100 only. So I'll just run this particular hint code on my piece of machine. So you'll understand what will happen in this particular scenario. Okay, I'm just doing a new sequence and simply doing a write line. So I want every one of you to actually do this. Okay. So simply pasting it out over here. And this one. I think I didn't copy that. So it's basically new random text or something. I'm a bit lazy to paste it out. So what will happen in this particular scenario is the bot will automatically pick a number between 1 to 100 only. So on the basis of the number that has been picked, you need to scrap that particular code. So right now what happened is I picked 16th number. So what I'll do in this particular scenario is I'll go to the 16th code and I'll mail this back to myself. Please don't do it manually. This is something that the bot needs to do. You need to pick a number automatically, and from there you can actually mail that particular code to yourself. So this is the assignment to you. Simply open and navigate to this particular website. I'm just putting it inside the chat so everyone is aware of this. I'm putting the hint, the random text as well. Please excuse me. Yep. Okay, so once the number has been picked out, use that particular code line and then send this particular code to yourself. Once you are able to complete this whole scenario automatically on your end, simply do this is put a screenshot of what email you have received and simply tag Uipath community and RPA Kickstarter. And you can put it as an email, as any quote like this. My buddy bot quoted to me in daily mail as whatever quote number you have received. So this particular process is a bit complicated because you need to scrap the particular code from this particular website and then mail it back to you. So I would be really happy if I see 10 to 15 people, and you can also tag me on LinkedIn and tag Rohit and Manoj as well. So they can also have a look at who is actually clearing this assignment as well. Okay. Now moving ahead with the means learning resources over here. So learning resources is basically from the Uipath Academy. You can go to the academy course, you can see the email automation with Studio and also with Studio X. There are a lot of integration available inside this, as I've shown you. Now, don't restrict yourself only to Outlook and Exchange. You can also integrate directly with Gmail and also with other browsers as well. So all you need to do is create an POP message and SMTP message server, and simply it will work out. You don't need to create that server. Outlook means Gmail, and these people actually provide you out with that. But with Uipath, we have a direct integration with Gmail. So you can actually use that particular scenarios as well. The documentation links are also available. I would be sharing this whole PPT inside the session after we have completed. So Rohit would be uploading this whole thing to there. Okay. So if you still want the link right now, what I'm doing is I'm simply pasting it out to you guys. Okay. Now moving ahead with this, we can start with the question answer. I think everyone can actually unmute themselves. Rohit, I'll request you to allow people to do that.
If people can unmute.
And in the end, I'll request everyone to go to the website for the 8th Kickstart, that is on PDF automation and OCR in Uipath. A very good topic for everyone to cover out. It really helps because most of the companies are doing invoice processing, which needs PDF automation and OCR in Uipath as well. So do attend that and do RSPV for that particular event as well. So let's go ahead with the question answers. If anyone has any questions, we can actually take that up, and I'm just stop sharing. So I'll see most of the people coming up with the questions.
Yeah. If you don't want to unmute and speak, you can also post it on the chat as we have been doing so far. That's also an option. We have some good time for Q&A today.
So no questions from anyone?
Meanwhile, Manoj, can I request you to come on the video as well? Hello, sir.
Hello, Rohit. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Yeah. Guys, just reminding one more time, if you have any questions, please do post on chat, or you can also unmute now. I have given you rights. If there are no questions, we can also close the session. That's perfectly fine. Please do make sure that you register for tomorrow's session.
Thanks a lot, Sarita, for that. I'm so happy that the session went so good that no queries and everything. So I hope that most of the people could have understood the email automations. And to add an additional point on this, basically you can, by using the HTML code, you can also make sure that you can also put in a table over there as well inside the mail body. So a status mail with the mail body is something data table can also be useful. I'll just put the link for that inside the chat. It's a marketplace component, which is directly, all you need to do is pass in the data table to it, and it will automatically convert that data table inside the HTML tag for you. So it will help you out. I hope it works. It works because it was being created by me. So obviously it will work.
If you do not have any questions, feel free to drop off as well.
I guess we have got a question from Amal Raj. What is that? So can you answer that?
Okay. In email automation, how the HR. So Amal Raj, can you please unmute yourself just to tell us a bit more in detail about the question?
So I guess, Shubham, the question here is, so HR receives a lot of emails titled with resume, and they need to actually put all the emails that are having an attachment with resume in it. So they just wanted to move it to a separate folder. How they can do that?
Yes. For this particular scenario, what you can do is actually you can actually go through all the emails and see if there is any attachment attached with the docx version, or maybe with a PDF version, or maybe with something doc. And from there, you can actually segregate it on the basis, not only on the basis of the subject line, but also on the basis of the string, of the attachment as well received. So by doing this, you can actually segregate all those emails and send it out back to a different user email ID, or you can move those emails inside a different folder for your use. So by doing this, now the HR, all they need to do is go to that particular folder and then see all that resume is being attached. I hope it helps, right? Does it answers your question, Amalraj? Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Shubham. There's one more question from Miguel, sorry.
Just give me 1 second. I'm just passing the activity that was being created for converting the data table to HTML. So I'm just passing it out inside the chat for everyone to take a look into. So all you need to do is simply install this particular package, and you can directly convert any data table inside HTML tags, and you can directly use that HTML tag and then mail it back to the business user. So this is how it can be used, and it is actually very helpful for everyone. Now the next question is, I read the filter from Excel. Miguel, can you actually please?
Yes, sorry, thank you very much. My problem was when developing a automation reading mails. I wanted to read mails from different users and departments and put in different folders. The problem came because I read the filters from Excel datasheet. Excel datasheet. The column has all those filters. The one that you put got from the Uipath documentation, and then I associate the filter in a property field for this variable, but it doesn't take into account that variable. I got an error and I couldn't solve it. I don't know if this is an issue that you should put it in double quotes or something like that, or any specific point. I don't know if you understand my problem.
Okay. I'll just try to rephrase your question. So you're saying that you are getting the means you were trying to pass in the filters from the Excel file to make a variabilize filter inside the get outlook. And then when you were doing that, you were not able to do that because I'm assuming you would be getting a double quote error while you are adding that inside the filter tab. Is that correct?
Yes, I need to hardwire the variables with the filters in the code, but I cannot import them from the Excel. So if I import those fields, the filter fields, no? From the Excel datasheet, I cannot pass the parameter to the property for filters in get outlook message. But if I hardwire in a variable name this filter within the code and pass them the variable, it takes that into account. So I don't know if it's
No, for this particular scenario, what you need to do is, Miguel, you can actually, the double quotes in that filter tab, it's very much means on a hard coded basis. But if you need to pass any variable inside that, I have a direct reusable code for that. I'll be just putting it inside the chat. Do give it a try. If you're still not able to give it, means get it rectified, just pass in the what is the variable that you need to pass in, and I'll help you out with that particular scenario. So just give me a few minutes. I'll be just looking for that particular text and then passing it out to you.
Thank you.
So this is a code for the filters. So inside this, I'm just passing the subject line. So the plus is actually passing the values over here. Okay. So did you actually try it like this? Because you need to actually pass multiple codes and multiple times you need to pass it out over there inside the code. And that needs to be passed in as per this scenario only. I think this would help you out. Please copy this out and try it with this particular scenario. Inside the means all you need to do is pass the variable name over there in subject line and it will automatically start working. And do add a percentage sign before and after if you want to do that as well for the like command.
I have a complex filter with an abbreviation of logic and.
Okay, so you are using with and as well, right?
Subject, body, and dates. No, so I compose the filter, big one with many filters.
I understand. So basically, what's happening in the means I have also faced this issue. So if you miss any single quote also or a single line also, the filter doesn't work as per your convenience. So my suggestion to you would be use one of the filters, and in the second condition, when you're doing for each and every condition over there, then apply the second condition over there. Because when you're doing this type of scenarios of passing in multiple variables inside the filter tab, it doesn't help you out. It actually complicates the whole process altogether. That's my suggestion to you, basically. And yes, Manoj has actually passed you the variable link on how to pass filter and everything. That will also help you out with that whole thing. So this is the variable link that I was trying to pass you out in the first, means in the earlier time. Does it help?
Yes, this helps.
Okay. But if you're still getting stuck at Miguel, you can reach me out on LinkedIn and we can try to get it solved out. Or you can also connect on Saturday, AMA meeting with the mentors, and then also someone would from our side can help you out with that directly.
Great.
Along with that, Mukul, you can also post this query on forum.uipath.com. I'm sure that you will get some answers very quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. I think we are good. Yes, Adit, you can ask. Yeah.
You can unmute yourself there.
Yeah, here's the question.
So Manoj, you want to take a lead on this?
So actually, I did not get the question. Excel is having duplicate columns. What does that mean? Means duplicate columns mean duplicate columns name, or names are having the duplicate values? What does
No,
that?
I think it's duplicate column names. Aditya, please, if you can unmute yourself or write it in the chat again. If you mean duplicate column names.
Column name, that you can handle it very easily. You just read your what do you call that column name and see if there is any duplicate value in that inside the list, and you can also delete that column based on the index number that you get. The other way that you can do is because if you basically use this read activity, and if you have got a column like amount, so the other amount column will be replaced at amount_1. So this thing will, I guess, will not work. So the only way is to first read the headers and find out a duplicate and remove it based on the indexing that you get. Does that answer your question?
Adit? Adit, you there? Yeah. I think we are good then in that case.